Hello and welcome back to Mrs. Flores' YouTube channel. As you can see, we've got a little bit of a different setup today. I'm actually recording from home, but that will not stop us from learning. Today, we're going to be reviewing how to solve linear equations. This is super important in all of math, in geometry. Every math you're going to take, you're going to have to solve equations. So I just wanted to post a little refresher. So in the agenda today, where this video was linked, you can also find a worksheet that looks like this. It's nice and typed up, unlike mine. Mine's just by hand. You can go ahead and print that out, or if you want, you can just take notes on a blank piece of paper, whatever you feel like it. All right, so we've got some steps at the top here. When we're solving equations, first we want to look for parentheses. We want to see if we can distribute anything. After that, we combine like terms. Remember, like terms are numbers that have the same variable raised to the same power. So like, for example, 2x and 3x, that's an example of like terms. They both have x's. Or if you have something like 10 and 12, those both have no variable, so those are like terms that we can combine. After you've combined all your like terms, you get all your variables on one side of the equal sign, and all your numbers without variables, we call those constants, on the other side of our equal sign. After that, we isolate the variable by adding and subtracting, and then solve for the variable by dividing by the coefficient. All right, let's put this into practice. That's a lot of words. Let's just do an example. So let's look at this example first. So we look at our steps. We look for parentheses where we can distribute. Well, I see some parentheses right here. Let's go ahead and distribute that 2. Remember, when we distribute, that means we multiply. So 2 times x gives us 2x. 2 times 1 gives you 2. And the other side, we don't have anything to distribute, so we can just leave it as 4x plus 10. After that, we want to see if there's any like terms that we can combine. Well, on this side, we have an x and we have a constant. We can't combine those. Same thing over here. We have an x and a constant. We can't combine those. Remember, when you're looking to combine like terms, you can only combine like terms on the same side of your equal sign. So we look on the left side first. We'll look on the right side. We can't combine through the equal sign. All right, after that, we're going to try and get all the variables on one side of our equal sign and all of our constants on the other. So I'm going to go ahead and subtract 2x from both sides. That will, of course, cancel out there. So I'm just left with a 2 equals 4x minus 2x leaves me with 2x plus 10. All right, so now I have a lonely x on the right side. So that means on the left side, I want to get the constants. So the opposite of adding 10 is subtracting 10. So we'll have 2 minus 10. If you don't know off the top of your head, put in your calculator. You should get -8 equals 2x. And then to get that x by itself, we've got to divide both sides by 2. So you'll get x equals -4. There we go. And then, of course, you could always plug in your answer and make sure that it's correct. So let's do that. So we've got 2 times -4 plus 1. Does that equal 4 times -4 plus 10? Then we just got to follow order of operations. So on this side, I want to do parentheses first. -4 plus 1 is -3. So 2 times -3 equals, we do multiplication first. 4 times -4, -16 plus 10. Again, use your calculator. 2 times -3, -6 equals -6 plus 10, -6. That checks out. We know our answer is correct. All right, let's look at the second one. So we look to see if there's anything that we can distribute, but we notice that there isn't anything. So we ask ourselves, are there any like terms that we can combine? Well, let's look at the left side first. We have a -3x and a 6x. Sometimes it might be helpful to underline or circle your like terms that you can combine. So we have -3x plus 6x. We just have to add those coefficients. So that's going to leave us with 3x plus 4, because there's nothing to combine the 4 with, equals, do we have anything we can combine over here? Well, it looks like we've got a negative 10 and a positive 34. Remember, when you're subtracting a number or a variable, that's the same as like negative 10. So x minus 10 is negative 10. So in our calculators, we would have to do negative 10 plus 34. So we had x plus 24. So we've combined like terms. Now we got to get all of our variables on one side of our equal sign. I'm going to subtract the x from both sides. Now, you might ask, why last time I subtracted the 2x over here, and this time I subtracted the x from over here? I always subtract, excuse me, I subtract the smaller x. So this is 3x, this is 1x, right? So I'm going to be left with a positive 2x. If I would have subtracted a 3x, I would be left with a negative 2x, which there's absolutely nothing wrong with it. I just find it easier to work with positive coefficients. It's easier to work with, in my opinion. So these cancel out. On the right side here, I'm just left with 24. And over here, I've got 2x plus 4. All right, cool. We got to subtract 4 from both sides. We'll get 2x equals 20. And then our last step, again, is divide by 2. X equals 10. And if we plugged it in, we would see that it's correct. All right, last one. All right, so we look and see if there's anything we can distribute. There is. We've got a fraction, though. So I'm going to show you two different ways to do this one. So let me split this paper down the middle. Write my equation over here and over here. I'm going to show you two ways that you can do this. Either way, we should get the same answer. Whichever way you prefer is fine by me, as long as it gets the right answer. All right. Excuse me. So the first way, we're just going to distribute like we normally would, right? Now, be very careful. We're distributing a half. So a half times x is just going to be 1/2 x plus 1/2 times 2. If you don't know what that is off the top of your head, plug in your calculator. You should get 1 equals 30. All right. Now, we might be a little intimidated by fractions, but we do the same exact steps. So we need to isolate the variable. So we have to get rid of the 1 first. So 1/2 x equals 29. And then our last step, of course, is going to be dividing by the coefficient. Dividing by fractions can get a little tricky. So you can either do this. You can divide by 1/2, or you can multiply by the reciprocal. So remember, that's when we flip the fraction. So we would multiply by 2, multiply by 2. Because 2 times 1/2 just leaves you with 1. It still cancels the half out, just without dividing by fractions. Over here, it would cancel out. Either way, you get x equals 58. So in your calculator, if you did 29 divided by 1/2, you would get 58. If you did 29 times 2, you also get 58. All right, there is another option where you can get rid of the fractions right off the bat. I kind of like this way, to be honest. So we have a fraction out here. Just like I did here, to get rid of this fraction, we multiplied by the reciprocal. Well, instead of distributing, I can do that right off the bat. If I multiplied this by 2, remember we got to keep it balanced, so whatever I do to one side, I do to the other. So 2 times 1/2, that just leaves us with 1. It cancels. We're left with x plus 2 equals 30 times 2, 60. Subtract 2 from both sides and check that out. We got the same answer two different ways. Actually, kind of 3 different ways, right? Because we split off here. So however you prefer to do it is fine by me. All right, see you later.